Good morning, Year 2. Today is Thursday, the 18th of June, and we are carrying on with our learning about shapes. Today we're looking at 2D and 3D shapes together, and we're going to be learning how to sort them. So we're sorting 2D and 3D shapes today. Right, let's have a little look at yesterday's work. So for question 1, you were deciding if the shapes were symmetrical or not, and we needed to write yes or no. So A was a circle, and we should have put yes, it is symmetrical. We could draw a line of symmetry in two different places. We could draw one line of symmetry down from the top to the bottom, one line of symmetry from the side on the left to the right side as well. B, we have a triangle. We should have put no, it's not symmetrical. We can't draw a line or fold the shape in a place where both halves would overlap exactly. C is actually a love heart shape. Yes, it is symmetrical. We could draw a line of symmetry from the top to the bottom that way. D, we have an irregular shape actually, a strange looking shape. It has got a straight side here and a curved side here, but it is symmetrical because we could draw a line of symmetry from this side to this side and the two halves would overlap. E, again we have an irregular shape, a quadrilateral shape with four sides. It is not symmetrical. Again, we couldn't fold it anywhere where each half. Okay, question 2, you needed to draw your lines of symmetry onto the shapes. So the first shape is a square. It's just been turned around, so it looks a bit like a diamond shape, but it is still a square. It's got four sides and four vertices, and there are two lines of symmetry on our square. Next shape was a pentagon. There is one line of symmetry there. Next shape was a triangle, one line of symmetry again, and then your rectangle had two lines of symmetry again. Question 3a, circle the shape with an incorrect line of symmetry. So we should have circled the green rectangle because we can see just by looking here, we don't necessarily need to fold anything or draw anything, that if we were to fold along this line, this side would not overlap exactly with this side. They're not equal, they're not even. So I have written as my explanation, if we folded the shape down the line, the two halves would not overlap exactly. So it's not a line of symmetry. If the line of symmetry was drawn down the middle of the rectangle, then it would be a line of symmetry. Well done if you spotted that. Question 4, tick the shape that does not have a line of symmetry. We should have ticked this house shape here because even if we drew a line down the middle here, this side wouldn't overlap exactly with this side. Well done. Yesterday's challenge asked you to complete the other half of Caroline's shape using this vertical line of symmetry here. So we should have ended up with a pentagon. And this side matches exactly with this side. If we folded it down this line of symmetry, they would overlap exactly. Well done if you managed to do that one yesterday. Today we are going to need some paper, a pencil, a partner, and our worksheets as normal. Okay, let's get going with our learning for today. I'd like you to have a look at these shapes on this slide. There are 8 shapes. I'd like you to pause the video and see if you can just quickly name them first of all. Okay, so we've got a hexagon, a square, a triangle, a square, a rectangle, another triangle, and another rectangle. It's just a slightly longer rectangle than this one. How could we sort these shapes? So we've named them, and now I'd like us to think about sorting them. Now, to help you think about how we could sort them, think about our lessons earlier on in the week where we were counting the number of sides, the number of vertices that 2D shapes have. Bearing that in mind, how might we sort them? Pause the video and have a chat with your partner. And there's more than one way that we could sort them. Okay, let's have a look and see if these ways I'm going to show you match with what you and your partner came up with. So one way we could sort the shapes is by the number of sides, and it says Amira sorted the shapes by the number of sides. So we have a group of shapes that have 3 sides here, our triangles. We have a group of shapes that have 4 sides, our squares and our rectangles, and we have a group that has 6 sides, and there's only one 6-sided shape, which is our hexagon. So that's the first way we might sort them. Another way we could sort the shapes is being shown on this slide. So it says Emma sorted the shapes in this way. What I'd like you to do is have a really close look at this group, this big group with 7 shapes in, and this group over here with 1 shape in, and have a think about how she has sorted them. What might go in these 2 blue boxes at the top? Pause the video and have a think with your partner. So, Emma sorted them depending on whether or not they have a line of symmetry, which links really nicely with our learning we did yesterday. So all the shapes in this group are symmetrical. We could draw at least one line of symmetry on each one. The pink triangle is not symmetrical, so it's non-symmetrical because we couldn't draw a line of symmetry on that one. If we folded down a line on that one, then the 2 halves would not overlap exactly. Another way we might sort these shapes is by the number of vertices. And remember, the vertices are where 2 sides meet, in case you have forgotten. Now I'd like you to have a look at the shapes over here and try and decide where you would put each one. Would it go in 3 vertices in that group, or would it go in more than 3 vertices in this group? Pause the video and have a think with your partner and decide where you'd put each shape. Okay, hopefully this is what you came up with. In the 3 vertices group, we need all of those triangles because there are 1, 2, 3 vertices in a triangle shape. And we know that because they have 3 sides, so they must have 3 vertices. And then in the more than 3 vertices group, we have the rest of our shapes, our squares, our rectangles, and our hexagon. Our squares and rectangles have 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 vertices, and our hexagon has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 vertices. Really well done if you managed to sort those correctly. We can also sort 3D shapes, so our 3-dimensional shapes we were looking at earlier this week. On the board, on the slide, I have a group of 3D shapes. I'd like you to pause the video and quickly name them first, and then talk with your partner about how we could sort these. Again, think back to our learning earlier in the week and think about the number of faces, the edges, the vertices perhaps. Have a good look, decide what they're named, what their names are, and how we can sort them. Okay, so the first way we might sort them, this is what you might have told your partner, we could sort them by the shape that they are. So we could have a group of cubes. There are 2 cubes there, one's smaller, one's larger. We could have a group of cylinders. We could have a group of cones, a group of spheres, and a group of cuboids. We could also sort them by the types of faces that they have. So our cubes and cuboids have flat faces, and our cones, cylinders, and the spheres all have curved faces. And actually, our cylinders have flat and curved faces, don't they? So perhaps we could have had a third group over here for flat and curved faces. Well done if you mentioned that to your partner. And a final way we might sort them is by size. So we could have a group of larger shapes and a group of smaller shapes too. Okay, it's time to go and do your guided practice with your partners in a moment. For each question, you are looking at the group on this side and the group on this side and deciding how the shapes have been grouped. So they may have been grouped by vertices, faces, edges. Remember, they're all 3D shapes, so we're not going to be talking about sides at the moment, but we might talk about faces. And I want you to look carefully at group A. What do they all have in common? What might that group be? And then when you think you know, you're going to just write your answer on a piece of paper, and that will match with group A. And you're going to decide for A to F how the shapes have been grouped. This shouldn't take too long, about 5 minutes working with your partner. Off you go. Okay, hopefully we managed that. Let's have a look together. So group A is a group of cones. They're all cones. Group B is a group of cuboids. So those have been just sorted by shape, haven't they? Group C, they all have some curved faces. And group D, they are all cuboids. Group E, they are all cuboids again. And group F, they are all pyramids. And actually, they are all square-based pyramids there, aren't they? Now, you might be thinking, Miss Gardner, in group D, there is actually what looks like a cube here and a cube here. And in group E, there is a cube too. However, the group is called cuboids. Now, I'd like you to have a think. I'm not going to give the answer away just now, but I'd like you to think about why perhaps the cubes have been grouped together in a cuboid group. What do they have in common? What's the same about cubes and cuboids? And keep that in mind for your independent work later. Okay, let's have a little look at what your independent work looks like for today. So question 1 says, how have the shapes below been sorted? And you can see there's 1, 2, 3 different groups. So your job is to look closely at the shapes in each one and decide how they've been sorted. Number 2 says, Sophie sorted these shapes by the number of sides. Can you sort them in a different way? And you've got 2 groups here ready for you to sort them in a different way. If you'd like to, you could write a sentence underneath to explain how you've sorted them as well. Question 3a, how have these shapes been grouped? So this time you've got 2 groups of 3D shapes and you need to write down how they've been grouped. And then 3b asks you, could they be grouped in another way? Write a sentence about how you could group them or draw the shapes in different groups. Question 4, Hamza has sorted some 3D shapes. He has placed a cube and a cuboid in the same group. How could he have sorted his shapes? So for that one, you need to think about, what does a cube and a cuboid have in common? Do they have any of the same properties? I'm just going to quickly talk about your optional challenges next. So hopefully we're feeling brave enough to have a go at those 2 today. So your optional challenges look like this. Number 1 says, Ben sorted the shapes in order of the number of sides. Has he sorted them correctly? Explain your answer. So he's put 5 shapes in order of the number of sides. And I want you to see if you can perhaps spot a mistake he's made, or you might decide he's put them in the right order. Either way, you need to explain your answer. And question 2 says, Hamish is sorting 3D shapes. He puts a cube in the cuboid pile. And he's saying a cube is a type of cuboid. Do you agree? Explain why. So for that one, I've given you a couple of hints during the lesson, so have a really good think and a careful thought about that one. Best of luck, everybody, and I will be back tomorrow with a lesson about number tomorrow. So we're not doing any more shape for now. That's all of our shape revision done, so well done.